did you change the character at all when you cast Aubrey? Like, what did you
No, we
initially-
wrote the part for Aubrey because Aubrey, Allison Jones, who is along with Nancy Perkins, was casting our show, called me and said, you got to meet this. I just met this girl and she's the weirdest person I've ever met. And so then, like seemingly about 11 seconds later, Aubrey Plaza showed up in my office and for an hour made me more uncomfortable than I've ever been. Like, mostly just by not saying anything, but just by like kind of staring at me with a look that was like simultaneously like, you're old and like, I don't like you that much. And that was what I was getting. And then Greg came in and she did the same thing to him. And then she left and I immediately just sat down and wrote a scene in which Leslie, it wasn't a character in the pilot as it stood at that moment, but I just wrote a scene where Leslie was trying to like get a young sort of like college age intern to do something, and the college age intern made Leslie feel the way that Aubrey had just made me feel. And we just like called NBC and we're like, we're gonna put this character in and this woman is gonna play it. And we ended up having to put her on tape, I think, just for appearances, but the character was designed around the real human being. And she's different than her character in many ways, important ways, but there are also a lot of similarities.
I don't remember any of that.
Touché.
And when was the decision made to pair April and Andy? Was that something you knew going in at the start of the show, or you just saw the
Well, and you could fill in this, but there's a great moment when, in the second season, when everyone went, hunting, it was the episode where Ron got shot. And April and Andy stay back at the office, and they, and I think you had said before that those were...
Yeah, you were directing.
Greg was directing, and they were just goofing around, and the chemistry between them was really palpable and funny, and it just kind of came out of that, right?
Well, I think it came out of an ad lib that Aubrey did about the band.
In Rock Show,
in season one.
Don't talk about those shitty episodes,
and he was just talking about the band, and she made the choice to be really into the band, and
well, it was like everyone was gathered around. He was trying to explain what kind of music his band played, and everyone was like, I don't get it. And I was like, I bet April would like kind of think he's cute and get it. So I was like, I get it. And I looked at him, and that's where it started.
Just out of curiosity, what is it like directing Chris and Aubrey in a scene together?
Well, at the start of the show, start of that episode, Chris came up to me and sort of whispered, he's like, I'm going to make her completely melt in this stuff. You remember that? You were like, you had a whole plan where you were going to pound her with Pratt charm and
I just heard melt and pounder, and that didn't happen.
You phrased it better than that. But
well, I mean, you know, April has always been like, nothing impresses April except for like really shitty 311 Matchbox 20 kind of music that sounds a little bit like Hootie and the Blowfish. You know, it's really hard to crack somebody and make them smile, and she's, you know, had been notorious for not really giving anybody that, and I was like, I'm gonna get that. I'm gonna get a smile out of her or something, and it, you know, the scenes, it was really just like this kind of B story that was underneath the hunting trip episode. And so when we were together, a lot of the stuff that made that episode, the two of us hanging out together, throwing the football back and forth, or playing Marco Polo in the office, all these things were really kind of like thrown together in that moment. And I mean, they were written, but it became something different. And every time I was just trying to get something different. And obviously she had already done that when we were standing around that birthday cake, the scene where I was in the rock show in episode 6.